This is the World Innovators Podcast with your host, Donna Peterson.
I am so happy this morning to be talking to my good friend, Pauline Murphy. I have known Pauline for over 20 years. And lately, I've had a lot of clients asking me the importance of quality data, and does it really have to be compliant, and what could be the implications if it wasn't? And I thought to myself, I got to speak to my good friend Pauline. She will know exactly the right answers for this. But before we get started, my name is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the World Innovators Podcast. I talk to business owners and marketing executives all over the world about their marketing trends, what techniques they're seeing working, what challenges they're having, and things we should stay away from. As you all know, for me, I don't know if we should call it marketing anymore as much as relationships. If you want to have good quality clients, you have to build a relationship with them. And with that, we have to have quality data. So let's jump in. Good morning, Pauline.
Hi, Donna. Hi.
I am so happy to have you here. I'm like a little kid.
Good to be here.
Well, as you heard, I'm talking to clients every day about the importance of using quality data. We all get those generic emails in saying that these people have the greatest list and you can pick by title and industry, and they'll send you the list. You can buy it outright, and usually you're not paying too much. And I usually call up and inquire about it, find out, are they opted in or are they compliant? And usually they're not. And so I first wanted you to tell us, at One Stop, what type of data do you hold at One Stop Data?
Okay, so we hold global B2B data with in-depth profiles on both the companies and the individuals themselves. I mean, over the years, that data has grown to hold a lot more information than many years ago. We've got in-depth select so you can target the information, but now we carry a lot of links and a lot of dates to make sure that the data is both compliant and linking up to the right people who have given you permission for us to use their data. So it's really core that you carry a lot of data on the individuals to be compliant and to be accurate now in this day and age with global data.
Yes. So why is it so important that companies use only quality data? You and I were both, years ago, it used to be people would cast those big, huge nets, like maybe they would throw out promotions to 100,000. And why is it better that they find that quality data and maybe to a smaller set?
Well, it's always been important to use quality data to get a good response. And that's key. Everyone wants a response. If you use rubbish data, you'll get a rubbish response. But more importantly now, we're in the world of social media. And if you damage your reputation, it's going to be very hard to come back from that. And if you use poor quality harvested data, scraped data off the internet, you're not only going to risk that you email the company dog, that will be horrendous for your reputation, but you will go into spam traps. And you are probably in most countries breaking the law as well. So it's not just about response, it's about your reputation, and it's also about legality. So the stakes are 3 times higher than they used to be. But the good news is, with the legislation, all of us, data owners, data sellers, we're working really hard to make sure that the data is better quality, has its permission levels in place, its dates, its links, its click-throughs, and making sure you're getting accurate data. If you buy data from an unknown source, an unreliable source that we all get offered every day, you're going to fall foul of that, because these lists, they make up emails, and they make up emails from names on the website. And as I say, that is often the company dog or someone who's gone away, or it's just purely a trap that's been put there possibly by the company, or even worse, by the powers that be who are going to go after you. So it's really important to stick to quality known data, which is great. it means we can give you better information, better links for getting a better response than ever before.
Well, and also I think with that quality data, like I mentioned, it's about building a relationship. And so with your data, you're not just giving sometimes the basics. So you're not just giving the postal address and the email. You can see a little bit more about the individual, which would let you have a marketing message that reaches that specific audience. If that individual's in the specific SIC code, for instance, maybe you can list a topic about that. They'll resonate better with you. And then you can really start a good quality relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the more information you have to target those individuals, the more information on the individual, on the company, and you can personalize it. And then using multiple channels, because as we all know, I'll read the first 2 headlines of an email. If it catches my attention, I'm good to go. But if you can also then use multi-channels, whether it's phone or social media married up, or postal, for those that click through, you can use a tiered approach that then means you're using multiple channels and hitting the individual several times with your message. And that's always been the way to get a response, and still is. I mean, what do they say? 6 times you've got to get in front of someone before they'll respond, before they notice you.
Yeah. And we've noticed here in the States, at least, postal has increased. There's more of a demand now for postal than there was a year ago, a year and a half ago. And one thing we're doing with clients is maybe they do an email, and if someone opens it or clicks it, then we send the postal piece to those people. So you're getting that great response from a postal piece, but you're really only sending it to parties that have already showed you an interest.
Yes. And we do that with calling as well. The phone call, it's going to be expensive to make a phone call, but worth it if they've clicked through or filled in your form. Forms are the great things with email today.
So my next question to you, and maybe that'll tie in the phone call, I was going to ask, how can brands stand out from the crowd and demonstrate value?
Well, I think again they've got to use multiple channels, and in that, it's got to be a good offer, as ever, same old, a good offer going through multiple channels, because some of us will pick up the phone, some of us will read an email, others will read our social media. Social media is getting crowded, but if you combine it with the multiple channels and personalize as much as you possibly can, directing the offer to the right industry, the right job function, and that's a powerful way of standing out, not just sending out bland messages. And the offer's key. It's always key to have an offer. And breaks my heart when I see a long email going out without an offer, without a call to action. All those key elements that I know you've worked on for years is it's so essential to keep those principles going throughout the multiple channels.
Yeah. I think some of us who've been in the industry as long as we have, we sometimes feel like we're a broken record, like right channel, right this, right that, but it is still relevant. And like you said, now more than ever, you do have to give them messages they can resonate with. It's no longer those generic messages. And if you can personalize it, yes, with a first name, but personalize it by their job function or by their industry, you will see a better response.
You will always. Yes, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned phone. Are you doing a lot with phone?
We do it with the multi-channels. We tend to do phone where we've gone out with emails, someone's filled in a form, then we follow up to make sure it's a full BANT lead for a client. That's where the phone would come into play nowadays, more when we've had a hint that they're interested, rather than cold calling. Generally, that's the push nowadays. But one of the things I would say with the phone, and one of the frustrations we have, is that when that lead's created, and someone said, yes, I have an interest, following up at the other end, having an account manager to call on that individual is so essential as fast as you can. Because again, people nowadays, they expect to buy things instantly. They want instant response to their inquiries. So, you know, we call on your customers to have someone to follow up as fast as possible to those responses. And that we find works when that's in play.
See, that's important. I did a lead generation campaign for a client, I think it was a few years back, and we got great leads for them. And then he came back, you know, I think it was like 3 weeks, a month later, and he says, Donna, this didn't work for us. And I said, how could not have worked? I saw the leads. I said, when did you call them? He goes, oh, we didn't call them until 2 weeks after. And I'm like,
oh, I know, I've heard that before. I know. And what can you say?
do you know what you did 2 weeks ago? Like, I can't remember what I did 2 weeks ago. You know, I don't know if it's my age or what, but I don't.
And
remember.
that is frustrating when business is left on the table. It's literally walked away from, and it's very hard to say to the client, look, you know, you've just walked away from it. It was there.
Yeah, it was. And then what do you do at that point? You kind of have to scrap everything you've got and start over again.
Start again.
Yeah, because, you know, just like us, when we're searching the internet or researching something, if we're ready to talk to someone, I don't know, I'm pretty impatient. I want to talk to them then, you know, I want to talk to them. Like, if I don't hear within the hour, it's like your customer service stinks. You know?
and that's a trend. People want instant response. Yeah.
I want it now. People think I'm such a nice person, but really I'm not. So what type of campaigns have you seen getting the best engagement right now?
The best campaign I have seen in the last couple of years is you know, a rewards card. And as I say, if every promotion could have a rewards card, I'd be a happy bunny, because they'd work a lot better.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking for a discount for their loyalty. And a particular campaign we did for a hotel worked exceptionally well. And I'd like to see more of those. And I stay in hotels a lot. I travel a lot. So, well, normally I travel a lot. And I'd like to see more of those reward cards, you know, offered to me, because you feel if you're being loyal, then a discount, you know, don't give it to the new customers, give it to me. I've been coming to you for years. But in terms of getting a response, if you can put an offer in, such as reward cards, fantastic, because people will respond.
Great. And are you seeing that on the B2B side also? Is that B2B?
That is B2B, pure B2B. Yep.
Wow. Okay, good. That's something to keep in mind.
Because
with
people
my
still want
clients.
to make savings for the company, or, you know, if it's travel, then they can use it domestically. You can take, you know, the family away at the weekend, and it costs you half of what it would have done, because you've been loyal to one, you know, hotel.
Right, right. Well, I know we have that interesting story. We were just staying at a Hilton, I believe. And, you know, we have a rewards card there and we're a member. But what happened when we were in there is we were going down the elevator and the elevator got stuck. So we couldn't get out of the elevator. And we were in there for 45 minutes. They had to bring the police, the fire department. They had to do the jaws to get us out. But I have to say what it was is afterwards, the manager was so hospitable. Of course, he's trying to protect himself, but he still was very, very kind. And then he says, I noticed you're a awards member. You know, we want to keep you as a loyal customer. And he was willing to go beyond and offer us some discounts for the future to definitely get us back into their hotel to use it. And so you're right. You know, when they recognize that you're a loyal member, that you go there. And again, so this is back to my thing where it's not really, I like to think, not marketing as much as relationships.
Yes, absolutely.
And so if you realize, you know, this is a customer who's come to you several times and you start to build that relationship with them, yeah, they're going to buy from you, or they're going to come and, you know, come to your hotel, whatever it might be. And so that's the important part. I've been working with clients on finding their target audience, if you want to say, or their buyer persona. And then I say at the very end, I'm like, okay, but now think about who's your ideal client.
Yes.
Because to me, your ideal client is the person who, yes, came in, bought from you, became a customer more than once, but your client is that person who's going to come back year after year after year. And that's the person we all want to reach.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to take my clients another step deeper and doing that. And luckily we've been able to use the one-stop data to do that, because it has been quite effective for our clients. Now, before I know my last question, but I don't want to get there first. There was something you and I touched on earlier before we hit record, and we were talking about harvesting data and, people going around and just collecting data from a variety of different sources and putting it together on a list. And I want to hear from you, because you are an expert and you know what you need to do your due diligence to make sure it's an effective list. What is your viewpoint on scraping data and what companies should do if they're doing that?
So scraping is very dangerous on its own. I mean, it can be one of a part of a process, but we do see people who take data and create emails just because they think they know the structure of the email address, and that is so very dangerous, because, as I said earlier, you could be hitting a spam trap, which will get you blacklisted with the ISPs. You could be hitting the company dog that will damage your reputation. But most importantly, you're probably hitting rubbish. So again, your reputation online, your delivery will be very, very poor, and you'll be hitting something called catch-alls that won't do you any good. There's no point in emailing to catch-alls. It will damage your reputation. The only way to use emails is where you know it is a true and real email. They have had the right to be informed, which we do globally, not just in Europe where it's the law. We do it worldwide, because we want every single email to have had all the compliance, all the legality, and to be a genuine email. And we go through a lot of hoops, a lot of processes, whether it's phoning, emailing, getting a response from people to make sure the emails are genuine. Because if you don't, you will get blacklisted. And apart from anything else, it's just a waste of your time and your marketing budget, because guess what? People are not there, probably won't respond.
Right. And I think we should explain to our audience, when you get blacklisted, some people might say, so I get put on a list. Well, you don't understand. You get shut down. Your domain will not be able to send out emails. And so it's very serious, because you then have to go through several steps to clear yourself off the blacklist. And it is not an easy process to do. That's right. So people have to be aware of that. Now, when you said you go around the world, now I think we also have to tell our audience there's different regulations by country to be compliant with.
That's right.
That's where, because someone once said to me, Donna, how can we possibly keep up on this? And I said, well, the vendors that I work with, we're lucky, do that for you, because they've educated, they have their, legal team in place. So they know all the regulations by country, and you make sure that you stay within their guidelines.
That's right. But our policy is to stay within the strictest guidelines. So we've got a catch-all situation where if we're going out, with the policies that are covered under GDPR, then it includes the countries, that have a lesser, regulation system. So we make sure that all our data is compliant and up to date, and through that very process, we're ensuring ourselves worldwide.
Great. So another question I have is clients who want to append data to their file. Is that something One Stop can do for them? Can you take someone's file and append missing fields for them?
We certainly can. So we can append from our existing database where we know we have the information, or we can research the information, and we have the technology to find information to add to their companies that can be quite cost effective. So we can append whether it's demographic information, emails, or additional contacts, we can append to their files. And we do a lot of that now, a lot of appending. And that's increasing with social media marketing.
Yeah. Well, I would think that's such an important part, because we all want to have a nice, valuable house list. But you also want to have all the fields. To get back to what you said, if you want to do a multi-channel campaign,
That's right.
You got to make sure you have all the fields. And then you also would like to have the other information so that you can send them messages that will be specific to them and their job function.
Right. And of course, the biggest value in your house file is you've probably had a response from them, and it's that response that's so valuable. They've shown an interest, or they've bought from you in the past, and that's always going to surpass cold information, always.
Right. Well, because they'll recognize the name, they won't look at it as a spammer. So do you phone verify to get that information or research it?
We have various. Sometimes we phone verify, sometimes we research a company website, but then we always broadcast to that email and then read the response and take the information. We'll send a form for the recipient to fill in. So we go through a variety of steps to make sure we've got the right data, the right people, and they've heard from us.
Good. Because sometimes people send out like one thing and then that's it. And then they put it on the file, but you find they appended the data, but it's not accurate. And so if you're going to go through the process, take the time and the money to do it right, with a company like yourself who's been doing it, which, congratulations. I know you just celebrated 20 years.
20 years. Yep.
It's crazy how fast the time goes,
Not as long lasting as World Innovators, but yes, we're catching up with you.
Yes, you are. Well, that's if we stop. Hopefully that, I don't know, but yes. Well, my mom, she started it 41 years ago, so it's been quite a time. But we've known you long before you even started your company there.
That's right.
So that shows again how valuable relationships do stand the test of time, and you had year after year. So my not my last question, because I always have my favorite question is, what do you see as our biggest marketing trends in 2021, and where do you think we're going to go into 2022?
Well, I think that's the exciting one. That's what gets me up in the morning right now. We're living through a really exciting time for marketing, and I think it's going to be tying it up with social media, social media marketing, because you've got out there, you've got LinkedIn, for the B2B, you've got Facebook for the consumer, and marketers go out and they put ads on LinkedIn, but they don't know who they're reaching, and that's crazy. That's crazy stuff, And we've got an opportunity, Donna, where you and I can give them the data. We've developed a program in-house where we can give them the leads of the people they're marketing to on LinkedIn. Yeah. So if you put an ad out there, we can marry up the contacts, the emails, the phone numbers, so you can truly do that multi-channel marketing. Because, you and I know, if you just do one thing once, you're wasting your time. You need to be getting out there. As we said earlier, I think it's 6 times they have to see you. And I think that's going to be the exciting thing up and coming. And the challenge will be getting people to make sure they're using the multi-channel marketing. Social media is not the entire answer. It's a big answer. It's an exciting one, but we need to marry it up with the data we've got that we know and how to get response rates. And then you'll have the full picture. You'll have the customer, lock, stock, and 2 smoking barrels. You'll have a full picture of that customer.
Here's ours, yes.
So yes, I think it's going to be really exciting, doing that. See, looking at the people and talking to the people who've seen your ad. What did you think of it? I saw you clicked on it. You're interested in it. And some of it will be rubbish. Actually, I wasn't, and it was a mistake, but some of it will be gold dust. Yes. And it's a gold dust, that we can pull together. And I think in the next couple of years, that's going to be, my challenge, your challenge, Donna, is to pull those together into the bigger picture.
Yeah. You are so right. We use, because we're on the B2B side also, like yourself, and our brands are usually very expensive brands. You can't just do a social post.
No.
People aren't going to buy from a social post. But does a social post help complement all your other marketing initiatives? Yes, it does. But you have to do it properly. And then, like you said, if you can make sure that your ads that you're placing out there on social media, which I agree with you, a lot of companies just go. It's just like posting. Some companies just go and post, and there's no strategy or thought behind what they're posting, what they're trying to achieve. There's no, like I like to say, a North Star. There's no North Star they're heading to. They're just throwing it out there. And if they could get a strategy and then marry, like you said, who's responding to a LinkedIn ad, to an email or a postal campaign or a phone call. You're right. Not every single one of those are going to turn into a client. I'm never, ever going to say that. But you're definitely going to get probably enough good quality leads to pay for everything that you paid for your marketing and then some.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And I think it's exciting times. I think as we marry up the data, we're going to learn more and more about the people who are responding to us. And that's our job, is to make sure that the marketer has as much information. And not only that, when it gets to the sales team, they've then got the link to the person they can link to. So we gather the LinkedIn profiles, the Facebook profiles on the company and the individual, so that when they're looking at that person, they can not only send them an email, but they can also link to them, so they can talk to them in a variety of ways, by phone, by post, by email, and by social media. And that's today's world, isn't it? Yes. And by the time they've seen you that many times, they know you very well.
Yeah, they know who you are. Yeah. I know I've even used data of yours, pharmaceutical manufacturers, and for our own internal use. And I've done it in that way where I'm connected with them on LinkedIn. I, send them several emails, and now we're about to send them out a postal thing. So it's definitely that multi-channel. The biggest thing is going to be when we give the clients those good quality leads, how do they follow up?
That's right. That's right.
They have to have their back end in place to do that. And I'm working with a publisher right now, and he wanted to go out with this big, huge promotion. I'm like, but your subscription form isn't conducive to getting people to respond. And then do we have someone on the flip side ready to talk to them? You have to make sure back end is in place so that all those good marketing leads we bring in definitely come to fruition and become customers. So very interesting. Well, now I have to ask you my very last question. As you know, I am huge into health and fitness, and I think it definitely parlays into our work life. It keeps us energized, to handle our data day after day. But what does Pauline Murphy do to keep herself energized? And do you think it parlays into your work at One Stop?
Well, what keeps me energized in the business, to be honest, is talking to people in business, listening to their stories, and especially new companies, their hopes and their dreams. I find that very exciting, always have done. When someone's starting a new business or they've got a new idea, I love listening to that, and that motivates me. And that certainly parlays into the business, because I want to help people to market their businesses. But whether it's, someone internally who's got an idea, or whether it's, a customer or just someone like yourself, I know in the industry, I find that most motivating, listening to the stories. I have this idea and I want to sell X, Y, Z. And that I find most, exhilarating, and people can surprise you, things you've never thought of. And it's you don't know what you don't know. That's the exciting thing in life.
No, well, you're right. And, and I guess we're two peas in a pod. My kids, like, they're so sick of, like, we'll be at a restaurant, I'll see something about marketing, and I'm like, oh, look at the way their sign is. Look at this, look at that. And they're like, oh my gosh, Mom, will you just be or we'll see something on TV, like if we're watching Shark Tank or different things about businesses. And I'm like, well, that's a good idea. But you know what they should do? They should do this, this, and this. And and even the other day we're walking on the beach and someone had a dog, and of course they're picking up the dogs poop after they pooped. And I thought, okay, this is what someone should invent, something that goes down and picks it up and goes into a tube, instead of someone having to use their hand. And my kids are like, you don't even own a dog. And I said, I know, but it's just an idea.
Yeah, keeps the brain active.
It does. So, well, I wanted to thank you very much. I thought, one, it was fun for me just to catch up with you, but I think it's important for my audience to understand the importance of quality data and how don't go out there and just start scraping data on your own, because
Absolutely
you could tarnish your reputation. You could get hit with penalties. You can get blacklisted. There's so many things that it's really not worth it. It's better to go to the source, someone like One Stop Data. So
super.
So thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the World Innovators Podcast. For more information about today's topic, email us at dpeterson@worldinnovators.com or call 860-210-8088. And please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a future episode.